Today, let's play some rapid fire. If you're moving to Nashville, moving to Tennessee, you've got lots of questions about Tennessee that maybe you do or do not know. What about gun laws? What about sales taxes? Let's talk about it. Today, it's rapid fire questions from people who are considering moving to Nashville. That might be you. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I will be glad to answer them for you anytime. But if that's of interest, I've got info you need. Stick around. I'll see you on the other side. Let's start with the question that I get all the time, no matter what. What is the most affordable neighborhood? Well, that is such an open-ended question that it's really not possible to answer. What is affordable to a multimillionaire is totally different than what's affordable to somebody who is a wonderful blue-collar worker who's an electrician and works for a large electrical company. They're two totally different things. So one of the first places that I love to share with people is we have to start with the budget. It seems crass. It seems extremely crass, and I'm sorry. But for me to be able to be of any help to you whatsoever, I have to lead you to the places where we can begin the process with strength and armed with knowledge. So you have to start with the budget. Starting with the budget, whether you're renting or whether you're wanting to buy a home, if you're wanting to buy a home, starting with that budget means we need to talk and get it pre-approved with a lender who can then tell us based on the job, based on the credit, based on your specific long-term debt that you're already holding that you can't just walk away from. What is it that you can afford that a lender is going to allow you to borrow from them? Once we have that, then I can tell you what are the most affordable neighborhoods based on those criterion alone. Once we have your budget, once we know what you were pre-approved for, then it's time to look at all the neighborhoods. Now, Nashville has approximately 20 defined neighborhoods. That's, very few in comparison to some large cities, but there are 20 distinct areas. And the Nashville Guru has a really great site that outlines and draws out each one of those. And I have lots of videos on each one too, but I did a quick little preview for you, and let's take a look. Actually, let's go on over to the Guru and take a look at how you can find some good information here too. So as I mentioned, there are about 20 true neighborhoods that we can name and define in the Nashville-Davidson County area. Now, we're just talking about Nashville-Davidson County. And as different areas are being regentrified, we as realtors actually kind of name them different things. And so we're finding an awful lot of areas being regentrified and creating their own personalities. And so I think this will be growing in time. But you've got the 12th South area, 8th Avenue, Belmont Boulevard, which of course is over by Vanderbilt and Belmont University, downtown Nashville with most of its high-rise condominiums, and Berry Hill. I've done a quick video on that. East Nashville, which is great. East Nashville and Germantown, which is where there's a lot of the art scene and some farm-to-table restaurants, a lot of cool places. Green Hills, the Gulch. Green Hills is actually where my office is. Let's take a look. But there are 20 different areas. My office is right there. This is the Hill Center. And when you go into each area, it's going to give you a little bit of information about it. It gives you places to eat, drink, to shop, where you can get your nails done, your hair done, all that kind of stuff. So each area is unique in that you don't have to really leave your neighborhood. If you've chosen any of these 20, you don't leave your neighborhood really to find grocery shopping and the day-to-day incidentals that you want. So this is a really good place to check out, in addition to the zip code directory that I'm going to show you too, to give you some good ideas of who's living there and what you can do. Next, do you really need a car if we live in Nashville? You know what? The answer to that is yes. I could give you all kinds of fluff, but the answer is really yes. You might find the perfect neighborhood for you. Everything about it is perfect except for the commute could really suck. Like if you can't walk, and you won't be able to unless if you live downtown Nashville and you want to live in a high-rise condominium and you want to be walking distance to work, You can get by with no car, but if you want to take advantage of all the things there are to do outside of the central downtown district of Nashville, then you're going to have to Uber it a lot or ride a long bike ride. Look, you just need a car. So Nashville is ranked actually the 15th most congested major metros in the United States. Now, that's not horrible, but it's not great. And if you ask Nashvillians themselves, so people who've lived here for a long time, will tell you the traffic is horrific. Now, that's just because we're used to it being a 10-minute drive from home to get to the Green Hills Mall, as I was, and now it takes more like 16 to 18, depends on when you go. The downtown downtown Nashville is very easy to get to in accessibility because I-65 going north-south, I-24 going east-west, and I-40 going east-west all converge right there. And you can skip it by doing the 440 loop, which takes you around to each one of them, or even further out of town, the 840 loop. So you don't have to go into downtown to then skip over from maybe coming in 65 and then you want to go 40 east over to Knoxville. So we have easy accessibility, but the problem is we've just grown so quickly that we have outgrown the number of lanes that we have in some of our interstate systems. In fact, this is not an accolade, but I've just learned this. 3 of the country's worst interstates, according to American Transportation Research Institute, is right here in the Nashville vicinity. It's where I-24 and I-40 and I-65 and I-24 kind of converge, where you're trying to move from one to the other. And that's all within about a 3-mile stretch of the downtown area. We've just outgrown that, but that can be a really snarly, tough set of intersections to move around. Traffic never stops completely, but it could be at a crawl of 20 miles an hour for a little bit. Our commuting is not great, but again, that's why it's so important to learn where you can afford where you're going to be working, and then putting those two things together to find you some of the best communities. All good questions that have to be answered in order, really, to not waste your time. But yeah, you really need a car. I had one couple move here from Jersey and they'd never ever driven a car. And they told me they wanted to be in a walking community, but they didn't want to be in a high-rise condominium, and they wanted a super, super safe area. Well, frankly, at their budget, I couldn't do it. They ended up buying in Franklin, falling in love with the small town Franklin atmosphere, but they've never driven. So they were Ubering it everywhere. Now, for a while, that was kind of fun to learn it. But now, 5 months later, they have bought a car, and she is taking driving lessons. And, I can't imagine being 35 and never having driven, but that's what it's like up in the Northeast. You need a car here. You really do. Another question that I'm often asked early on in our interview process is, where are people like me living? Now, you've got to know that when I don't quite answer it the way you might expect, like, for example, I'm 5'7" white woman in the 60s. Okay, I'm not going to answer the question that way for you. It's illegal, first of all, because that's directing you to things that are not legal to talk about. But I will show you a really cool website at esri.com. And then you go to a different one of their tools where you get a zip tapestry. You put in the zip code of the home that you're considering maybe, or the community that you're considering, to see things like income level, professional level, medians in many metrics that you can check out a particular zip code to find out if it's a fit that you think you want to be a part of. Let's take a look. So I'm often asked, how do I find people who look like me? Or what does it look like? What do the people look like who are in particular zip codes? Maybe you're thinking about moving into Mount Juliet, for example. That zip code is 37122. And I can give you the demographic info about things that are pertinent, like median income. Median income in Mount Juliet is sitting here
$94,967, which is a little bit above what the county median income is and higher than the state income. Looking at population density, Mount Juliet is more densely populated as the city than it is out in the county, which is what you would expect. Median age is 41. So it gives you an idea and gives you more segmented info about the people who live in each particular zip code. And in many ways, it gives you information that I, as a realtor, just am supposed to direct you to where you can find this information rather than me tell you. And I'd rather you do that anyway, because that way you know it's correct. Let's look up Brentwood to show you a difference. Here we are at Brentwood. Median income in Brentwood is $142,000, which is almost double what it is in the county, and definitely almost triple what the what the state median income is. Look at population density, median age. So you can get a lot of good information. You can get drive time information when you're going maybe from Brentwood to downtown Nashville. So this is a really good website to take a look at and get some demographic information that you might want about each particular zip code.
So there is something that I really don't do, but I can help advise you on, which is working with rentals. I'm not a property manager, but I do know if you want to be in an apartment, I do have some experts I can lead you to there. If you want to be part of looking for a home, I can help lead you. So I don't want to leave this out. So with this in mind, I want to give you a couple tips. If you're looking to rent, we are a college town in many respects. Now, it's not transient like Knoxville is as far as colleges go, but Vanderbilt is close by, Belmont. So if you're wanting to be within that midtown, downtown area, the best time to look for an apartment or a place to live in those areas will be toward the end of the school year. So end of the school year is May 31st, most cases. So what you need to do is begin really looking in earnest, as in every 2-3 hours, beginning about 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior to that time, and be ready to put down a deposit. And I've got lots of other caveats of how to be careful with that. But that's the first thing. The other idea is if you're looking for homes, there really is no dates on which to check. We have less than a 5% vacancy rate right now in the rental market. We're looking at obviously November 8th, 2022, because I'm about to go vote. And as of now, we have very low vacancies. So that's just something to keep in mind. Very few people need to bother with even putting it on RealTracs. So we as realtors don't always have that information, but as the market changes, we may have more of it. So that's just a little bit of information about the rental markets. Okay, so let's talk about some of the questions that I get all the time from people once they have moved here. So yes, Nashville, you're going to be happy to hear, is getting Google Fiber. It's not everywhere, but it is in many, many areas of town and coming to a neighborhood near you. So if that's of importance to you, or you need very high upload speed, as I do, obviously, for these videos, then we can easily check out any home you're looking at. We can check out what that speed is and whether Google Fiber is on its way. But pretty soon, everybody's going to be able to watch The Watcher. Please put something in the comments below. Let me know. Are you watching that? Have you seen that series? It's a spooky, dark, campy, sort of based on history, but not really at all. And it'll keep you suspended. And the person that you think actually did it probably did. Let me know if you've seen it. And if you have, did you guess it? Now, once you move here, you're going to want to vote, I hope. And our voter registration, you will vote on the day of voting at a precinct near your home address. You must be a U.S. citizen. You must be 18 years old the day that you vote. And you cannot be a felon. Actually, you might be able to have a felony conviction. It depends on when that conviction date was and what the crime was. But in general, it's pretty easy, but you do have to have your driver's license with you, and voter registration has to be valid, and we do check that. Don't know how you feel about it, but if you don't like that, Tennessee may not be your spot.
If you're still here, you are at least getting some value out of this show. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to tap the bell so that every single week you get notified when we drop a new video.
Oh, and if you're going to go ahead and change your Tennessee driver's license to a Tennessee license, and you need to, you have to do that within 30 days of moving to the state and having a permanent residency. Right after that, you're going to want to go ahead and get your vehicle registered because it doesn't cost much. It's $9 for the year. You'll get a sticker, you'll get a new license plate. We do an annual renewal, and it's $9. From my understanding, that is dirt cheap in comparison to many places that people currently live. And the number one question that I get that people often actually don't want to ask, but when they ask, they kind of do it quietly and tell me about your gun laws. Well, Nashville is what is called, I've got to read this word exactly, a permitless carry state. As of July of 2021, you do not have to have a permit to carry, either open or concealed, as long as you're in an area that does allow guns. Now, obviously, I think schools and some other area, you've got to read the signs, but it is a concealed or open carry state. And I can promise you, the majority, I can't say that. I would venture to say that the majority of the people do carry. And I would also venture to say that most of the people you think do, don't, and don't do. Heck, I was talking about this with a friend. I remember when high school, when I was growing up, all of the boys carried their rifles on the back of their pickup trucks, and they would go hunting. And they wore their camo clothes or had it in the truck. It's just a rite of passage here. It is something that Tennesseans love to hunt. They love their guns. They love the sport of it. They learn from an early age. I won't tell you whether I carry or not. I will tell you that I have passed my gun safety. I will tell you that I passed the test with flying colors. Actually surprised myself how well I did. But it's something that we hold near and dear to our hearts. And yes, we are a concealed carry state. If that doesn't make you comfortable, then please rethink it, because I don't see that changing anytime soon. And frankly, we don't want to change it. Do I really want to say that? Yeah, I really do. We're not changing that. That's our right to protect ourselves and our families, and we're going to do it. So yes, as of that 21st law, any person older than 21 without a felony can carry a gun, either concealed or open carry, as long as they're in a permitted place to carry a gun and they're not a felon. So tell me in the comments below, how do you feel about that? Are you happy with that fact? Does it concern you? I'd love to know your thoughts. That's what we are here as a community, and I want to answer your questions. I want to hear your thoughts on the questions, and I want to tell you Tennesseans' thoughts from my perspective to help you determine whether this is the right spot for you. So go ahead, subscribe, tap that bell. I'll be talking about something new next week, and I think you need to know about it. See you then.